Can you imagine spending years married to someone, building a life, sharing everything, only to find out they had a massive, undeniable secret, something they kept hidden not just from the world, but from you, their spouse? And what if that secret involved an entire house, a place you were explicitly forbidden from entering? That was my reality. For decades, my husband, Arthur, had a secret house, a place just a few towns over that he visited regularly, sometimes staying for days. He simply called it the workshop, but I knew it was more than that. I was never allowed to go there, never allowed to ask too many questions. And then he died. Suddenly, unexpectedly. The day after his funeral, still reeling from grief and a lifetime of unanswered questions, I drove to that house, the one he had guarded so fiercely. I had the key. I had to know. And what I saw when I finally opened that door, it shattered everything I thought I knew about him, about us, about our entire life together. Was I wrong for feeling betrayed, even in his death? Tell me if you would have done the same thing, if you would have sought out the truth, no matter how painful. Our story, Arthur's and mine, began in a flurry of youthful optimism and undeniable chemistry. We met at a local fair, a quintessential small-town romance. He was a carpenter, strong hands, a quiet smile that held a mischievous glint, and a way of making me feel like I was the only person in the world. I was a librarian, a lover of stories, a dreamer who always imagined a life filled with quiet joys and shared moments. We fell in love quickly, deeply. Within 2 years, we were married, exchanging vows that promised openness, honesty, and a lifetime of shared secrets, or so I thought. Our first few years were blissful. We bought a small, cozy house, a fixer-upper that Arthur, with his incredible skill, slowly transformed into our perfect home. He built shelves for my books, a sturdy kitchen table where we shared countless meals, and even a beautiful rocking chair for the nursery we hoped to fill one day. He worked long hours, his carpentry business slowly growing, and I loved watching him bring wood to life, shaping it with precision and care. He was a good man, a kind man, always putting me first, or so it seemed. The first hint of something unusual, something hidden, emerged about 5 years into our marriage. Arthur started talking about a new project, a special commission that required a dedicated space, away from our home. He said it was a client who wanted absolute discretion, something highly specialized and complex that couldn't be done in his regular workshop. He found a small, unassuming house in a neighboring town, about a 40-minute drive away. It was a modest place, he explained, just a bare-bones structure with enough room for his tools and materials. He called it his secret workshop, a playful term at first, but one that soon took on a more literal, unsettling meaning. He would leave early in the morning, sometimes before dawn, and return late at night, often smelling of sawdust and paint, but also something else, something I couldn't quite place. He'd be tired, but also distant. Distant in a way he never was after a regular day's work. When I'd ask about the project, he'd give vague answers. It's coming along, or it's a tricky one. He always smiled, a reassuring smile, but his eyes, I now realize, held a flicker of something guarded. As months turned into years, the workshop became a fixture in our lives, a silent, unacknowledged presence that always felt just out of reach. He started spending more and more time there, sometimes an entire weekend, occasionally even a full week. He'd call, of course, tell me he missed me, assure me he was working hard. I trusted him. How could I not? He was my husband, my rock. But the questions, though unspoken, began to fester. Why couldn't I visit? It's too messy, darling, too dangerous with all the tools, he'd say, chuckling. Why couldn't he tell me more about the project? Client confidentiality, you know how it is. He was always so charming, so convincing. He'd bring me flowers after a long stint away, take me out to our favorite restaurant, shower me with affection. He was making up for his absence, I told myself. He loved me, and this secret workshop was just a necessary evil for his passion, his livelihood. Our conversations about it became a delicate dance. I learned not to push too hard, not to ask specific questions. If I did, his jovial demeanor would subtly shift, a slight tension around his eyes, a quick deflection. Let's not talk about work, love. Let's just enjoy our evening. It wasn't an argument, never an outright fight, but a clear boundary. I was not to cross it. And I, being the trusting wife, the one who believed in the sanctity of our vows, respected that boundary. I tried to convince myself it was just a quirk, a part of his artistic process that I couldn't understand. He was a creative, after all, and creatives sometimes needed their solitude, their personal space to bring their visions to life. But deep down, a tiny, persistent voice whispered doubts. It wasn't about the work. It was about the secrecy. We continued our life together, a life that, on the surface, was perfectly normal. We entertained friends, went on vacations, celebrated holidays. We were the couple everyone admired, stable, loving, devoted. But I always felt like I was living with a phantom limb, a part of our shared existence that was missing, unknown to me. The mystery of the secret workshop grew with each passing year, becoming a looming shadow in the background of our otherwise bright life. Sometimes, late at night, I would lie awake, listening to Arthur's gentle breathing beside me, and my mind would race. Was there another woman? No, that couldn't be. Arthur was so loving, so present when he was home. He never seemed distracted by anyone else. Was it illegal? Some kind of shady business? Again, it didn't fit his character. He was meticulously honest, a man of integrity. I tortured myself with possibilities, none of which ever felt quite right, none of which explained the sheer depth of his secrecy. I even considered following him once just to get a glimpse. But I never did. The thought felt like a betrayal of my own trust, a violation of the unspoken agreement we had. I reasoned that if he wanted to tell me, he would. He had his reasons, and I would respect them. I just wished I understood them. Then came the phone call that changed everything. It was a Tuesday morning, a perfectly ordinary day. I was at the library shelving books when my phone rang. It was the hospital. Arthur had collapsed at his regular workshop, the one he shared with an apprentice. A massive heart attack. By the time I got there, it was already too late. He was gone. Just like that. The love of my life, the man who had been my constant for 30 years, vanished in an instant, leaving behind a gaping hole in my universe and 1,000 unspoken questions. The funeral was a blur of sympathetic faces, mumbled condolences, and the heavy ache of grief. I felt numb, untethered. It was only after the initial shock began to wear off, after the last mourner had left and the house felt eerily silent, that my mind slowly, inexorably, turned to the secret house. His death hadn't just taken him from me. It had also lifted the veil of secrecy, the unspoken rule that kept me away. He couldn't forbid me anymore. In the days that followed, while I sifted through his affairs, I found a small, unmarked envelope tucked away in his desk drawer. Inside was a single key, an old-fashioned, heavy brass key, and a handwritten note. It was Arthur's familiar script, a little shaky, as if written in haste. The note simply said, "My dearest Eleanor, I always wanted to tell you, but I couldn't. Now you deserve to know. The house in Elmwood. Go there. It's all there. For you. For us. Please try to understand. My love always, Arthur." My heart pounded as I read those words. He wanted me to know. He wanted me to go. A mixture of fear, anticipation, and a renewed sense of betrayal washed over me. He had kept this secret for so long, and now, in death, he was finally inviting me in. What could possibly be so important, so hidden, that it required a lifetime of silence and a deathbed confession? So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. I held that key in my hand, a literal key to a mystery that had plagued me for decades, and an emotional key to understanding the man I had loved and lost. Before I tell you what happened next, what I saw when I finally opened that door, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have gone? Would you have just let the mystery die with him, preserving the image you had of him? Or would you have sought out the truth, no matter the potential cost? I genuinely want to know what you think. The drive to Elmwood felt surreal. The sun was shining, birds were singing, and the world outside seemed oblivious to the seismic shift happening within me. I passed familiar landmarks, the old mill, the town square, my hands gripping the steering wheel, knuckles white. The address Arthur had scribbled on a separate piece of paper led me down a quiet, tree-lined street, a street I had driven down countless times without ever realizing it held the key to my husband's deepest secret. The house itself was unassuming, a small, two-story bungalow, a little weathered but well-maintained. It looked like any other house on the block, blending in perfectly, which I suppose was the point. It didn't scream secret lair or mysterious hideaway. It just looked normal. And that, in itself, was unsettling. I parked the car, my heart thudding against my ribs like a frantic bird. Taking a deep breath, I walked up the short path, the brass key feeling heavy and cold in my palm. My hand trembled as I inserted it into the lock. The click was surprisingly loud in the silence. I pushed the door open, slowly, cautiously. The first thing I noticed was the smell. It wasn't the scent of sawdust and paint I expected from a workshop. No, it was a delicate, almost sweet aroma, like old paper and dried flowers, mingled with something else, something uniquely personal, something that resonated deep within my soul. The entryway was dark, the curtains drawn, but as my eyes adjusted, I could make out shapes, objects, things that were definitely not tools or carpentry equipment. I reached for a light switch, my hand shaking. The room was bathed in a soft, warm glow. And then I saw it, and everything stopped. It wasn't a workshop at all. It was a museum of our life. The entire first floor was meticulously curated, a chronological display of every significant moment, every cherished memory we had shared. On the walls hung framed photographs, not just professional wedding photos, but candid snapshots from our early days, blurry images of picnics, laughter, silly costumes from Halloween parties. There were ticket stubs from our first movie date, dried flowers from our wedding bouquet preserved in a glass case, a collection of silly magnets we'd bought on our road trips, all arranged with painstaking care. There was even a framed drawing I had made for him in our first year of marriage, a silly caricature of him with a tiny saw. I had completely forgotten about it. Every item had a small, handwritten label in Arthur's neat script, detailing the date, the memory, sometimes a funny anecdote or a heartfelt sentiment. Our first kiss, under the old oak tree, July 14th. The night you beat me at Scrabble for the first time, I let you win, of course. October 2nd. My breath hitched in my throat. Tears welled in my eyes, blurring my vision. This wasn't a secret he kept from me. This was a secret he kept from me. He had been building this, cultivating this for decades. I walked from display to display, my fingers tracing the outlines of the frames, the familiar objects. Here is the menu from our favorite Italian restaurant, laminated and pristine. There, a small, worn teddy bear I had given him when he was recovering from a minor surgery. He had kept everything. Every single, insignificant to anyone else, precious to us artifact of our shared history. The staircase led to the second floor, and with newfound resolve, I ascended, my heart aching with a mixture of profound sorrow and overwhelming love. The second floor was even more breathtaking. It was a dedicated space, a large, sunlit room, with a high ceiling and a massive, custom-built display case dominating one wall. And inside that case, glistening under soft spotlights, was a collection of exquisite, hand-carved wooden figurines. They were me, all of them, each one a different moment, a different age, a different expression. There was a tiny wooden Eleanor, in her librarian uniform, holding a stack of books, her hair in a neat bun. Another, a younger Eleanor, laughing, her arm thrown back as if mid-story. An older Eleanor, sitting peacefully in a rocking chair, knitting. He had captured every nuance, every subtle shift in my face, my posture, my essence, with an incredible artistry I had never known he possessed to this degree. Each figurine was a masterpiece of detail and emotion, a testament to decades of observation, of love, of quiet adoration. He hadn't just carved them, he had immortalized me, piece by beautiful piece. And beside each figurine, a small, silver plaque. Eleanor, age 25, discovering Shakespeare for the first time. Eleanor, age 30, planning our first big trip. Eleanor, age 45, comforting me after my father's death. He had captured not just my physical form, but the very spirit of our life together, the emotional milestones, the quiet moments of connection. This was why he needed the secrecy. This was why he couldn't tell me. He was creating a monumental, unending tribute to our love, a surprise that transcended anything I could have ever imagined. The client confidentiality wasn't for a rich stranger. It was for me. The dangerous tools weren't just for carpentry. They were for carving my likeness, for building a monument to our shared existence. He hadn't forbidden me from entering his secret house because he was hiding something nefarious. He was protecting the most incredible, loving surprise a husband could ever conceive. In the center of the room, on a simple wooden pedestal, was the last piece. It was a figurine of me, older now, with silver in my hair, a gentle smile on my face, sitting on a bench, looking out at an imagined garden. It was unfinished. A tiny carving tool lay beside it, as if he had just stepped away for a moment, planning to return and complete it. My heart shattered anew. He had been working on this, building this testament to our love, until the very end. The scent in the house, that delicate, sweet aroma, wasn't just paper and dried flowers. It was the essence of love, preserved in wood and memory. I spent hours in that house, walking through our shared past, touching the objects, gazing at the wooden versions of myself, each one a silent declaration of his enduring affection. The betrayal I had felt, the lingering doubts, evaporated, replaced by an overwhelming wave of regret for ever questioning him, and an even stronger wave of profound love and gratitude. He had spent his life building this, not a secret from me, but a secret for me, a legacy of our love. He hadn't cheated, hadn't done anything illegal. He had simply loved me so fiercely, so deeply, that he wanted to surprise me with the most incredible gift imaginable, one that required years of meticulous, hidden work. His death had been sudden, but his love, documented in every inch of that house, was eternal. The aftermath has been a quiet journey of processing. I visit the house often now. It's no longer his secret house, but our house, a sanctuary of memories. I haven't changed a thing. It's perfect just as he left it. Sometimes I bring friends, those who knew us both, and I tell them the story, revealing Arthur's incredible secret. They are always moved, often to tears, by the depth of his devotion. It's a bittersweet discovery, of course. I wish he had lived to see my face when I finally understood, to explain it all himself. But in a way, he did explain it. Every photograph, every ticket stub, every single carved figurine spoke volumes. His love was his explanation. I often wonder what he would have done with the last figurine, how he would have finished it. Perhaps one day I'll learn to carve, and I'll complete it myself, a final, collaborative act of love. This house, this museum of our life, is the most precious inheritance I could have ever received. It's not just bricks and mortar, it's the tangible proof that love can endure, even beyond death, and that sometimes the greatest secrets are the most beautiful gifts. So that's my story, a testament to a love that was deeper and more profound than I ever imagined. It's a story about trust, about unspoken devotion, and about finding astonishing revelations in the wake of loss. Like this video, if you were on my side, if you think Arthur's secret, however long held, was ultimately a beautiful act of love. Subscribe for more stories like this, stories that delve into the unexpected corners of human relationships. And please, share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comment section. I'm eager to hear what you make of it all. I'll see you all in the next story.